How's everybody doing? Yes. All right, I'd like to, announce the date of the next scheduled board commission hearing. That is March 20th, 2024. For the board, commission, and city staff, please state your names and swear in.
Stable.
Sophie Vogel.
Lori, do that. Do you swear to affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. I request a motion to approve the minutes from the previous meeting.
Oh, let me
No,
do the roll call first.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, that's fine, sure. So just for the record, Marine is not present. Lisa,
Present.
Mary,
Here.
here. Liza O,
Yes.
Jamal Brown, present. Shelby Toon,
Present.
Gregory Corbin is not present. We have 5 commissioners. We have a 4. And before we move forward as well, Marine is going to be teaching, so she's going to be absent, I think, through May for the art commission. So Lisa has graciously offered to be our temporary chair until that point in time. So we'd like to have a vote for a vice chair, a temporary vice chair for that period of time.
I'm not still the vice chair.
You are now the temporary chair, so we need a temporary vice chair in case you're not present during that period.
Alexa was holding responsibility.
Would anybody like to nominate anybody for vice chair?
Can I nominate you, Eliza? There you go.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. So do you want to have a vote?
Oh, do we all say aye?
Alright.
Aye. Aye, motion's passed.
Okay, that's good, yep. All right. Passes. Okay, with that, go ahead. I can do the overview of the hearing format if you'd like.
Sure.
Okay, so the way the art commission will work today, city staff will present application materials. Applicants will be sworn in and asked to present any additional materials at that time. We welcome speakers from the audience. We ask them to speak no longer than 3 minutes and to please come to the podium if they're going to speak, if they have anything to share with the commission. And commissioners will discuss the case and ask questions if needed.
Thank you. Do I announce the public forum now?
Yes, if anybody would like to.
Let's see. Wait, can I see this table? This is from the Arbiter.
Yeah,
Script doesn't seem to match what we're talking,
the public forum?
if applicable.
Yes,
Can I just read it?
yes.
Okay, I will ask, the applicants and speakers and any related parties to have a seat at the table, or at least for the first one. That's why it doesn't make sense.
All right, no, so, so for the public forum, just, you can read this section from the agenda.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay.
Persons wishing to address the commission on matters not on the posted agenda are invited to do so. However, the commission is not able to undertake extended discussion or act on non-agenda items. The communication should be kept to a 3-minute limit.
Is there anybody from the public who would wish to address the commission? No? Okay, go ahead. So,
Now we may move to approve the minutes from the last meeting.
So moved.
I'll second.
Thank you. The mission is passed to approve the minutes.
Oh, so now you have to ask, all those in favor say aye, all those opposed.
Sorry.
Yeah.
All those in favor?
Aye.
No one's opposed.
Okay, very good. All right, with that, so now we can move to our first application. The first application is going to be handled by Sophie Vogel right here. She wrote the staff report, so she can go ahead.
Okay, our first application, if our applicants would like to come up to the table, you're more than welcome to, is CAC-24-02-001. at 3923 North High Street. This is a request for action for temporary art, which will be comprised of 6 pieces of whimsical native animal art created with recycled materials. The Clintonville Arts Guild is proposing the creation of a temporary art installation named Planet vs. Plastic in the Whetstone Park Peace Garden. The artwork will be made up of recycled materials to create colorful, whimsical creatures similar to those who are native to Central Ohio and inspired by the images provided by the applicant. All creative pieces will be weather resistant and mounted to the ground in the Peace Garden by tent stakes or spiral dog stakes for stability, and the stakes will be concealed underneath each sculpture. The installation of the pieces is intended to occur within the first 2 weeks of April prior to Earth Day and will remain in place until mid-July. The pieces will be owned and maintained by the Clintonville Arts Guild, and maintenance will take place weekly for the 3 months that they reside in the Peace Garden. The Recreation and Parks Naming, Signage and Art Committee reviewed the proposal and had no objections. However, the applicant will enter into an MOU with Rec and Parks regarding the maintenance of the pieces. Staff analysis, code section 3115.05 states that the commission should be guided by the preserving of the proper decor of the city, the maintenance of the proper aesthetic values, the providing and maintenance of an orderly balance in the location and design of works of art, and the preservation of the prevention of blight or deterioration in and around public buildings and works of art. Summary is the proposal generally meets code related to determinations by the commission. And the basis for that code, the basis for that summary, is City Code Section 3115.05, determinations by the commission.
And here's the location on the map.
Yes.
So you can see it's right here, corner of North High and going back. This is the Peace Garden right in through here.
Hi. Happy to answer any questions that you have.
So you need to swear them in.
Yes. Okay, please raise your hand. And do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth and nothing but the truth? You. Thank you. Please state your names, by the way. I don't know that you stated your names yet.
I'm Kathy Grannon. I'm Vice President of the Clintonville Arts Guild.
I'm Laura Partridge, President of the Clintonville Arts Guild.
Hi, thanks for joining us today. Has anybody any questions, or do you have any statements that you'd like to share?
We can describe it briefly. I mean, I know you guys all have the proposal in front of you, but the Peace Garden was put together by the Clintonville Rotary and our guild a year and a half ago. And we entered into an arrangement with the Rotary by creating peace poles. So they were wooden like fence posts with different things on them. Yeah, there's a bunch of pictures of them there. And that was the beginning of making that space kind of full of messages and opportunities and programming. And so now we thought it would be a good idea in tune with Earth Day to use recycled materials to create some whimsical creatures that programming can also be centered around. And Rotary's pretty excited about that. So we went looking online and we found lots of pictures, which are also included there. We included some pictures of some of the mediums of our art group, which is 90 people strong now, and every medium you can think of. But then we also went online to look at, okay, what would be an example of something made from recycled materials that would be attractive and educational and get that message across as part of Earth Day. So some of the pictures that you have are of not things we're going to create. I think one of those pictures is a fish that's like 3 stories tall. We're not doing that, but we did love the inspiration of that picture because they use all colorful plastics that are considered to be recyclable or trash. And we're going to make them into critters that children can learn from, and Earth Day is part of. Of course, we had to have a deer at Clintonville, of course.
I think some of those that are being pulled up are examples of what we might want to create.
Yeah.
Are all of these going to be outside accessible?
Yeah,
They're all outside. We don't plan to use any materials that anyone could cut or scrape themselves on. And they will be covered in the plastic materials. And then the way that they're anchored to the ground will be underneath the critter, so it's not observable. We're probably gonna use those dogs spikes that you can screw in and then attach the piece to the top triangle part of that.
So you're requiring a plastic all around the outside.
Pretty much, there'll probably be some metal, but it's not gonna be metal with a sharp edge.
May have some wood.
Yes, oh yes, you'll see one of our artists in there, likes to make trees out of wood. That's his joke for himself. But he'll take scraps of wood and turn them into some really fascinating things. And so he'll have some things too. There's that 10-foot
And
fin.
we're choosing native Ohio critters to,
Great. I have one more question. How long do you think these will, how long are they expected to display?
We want to put them up right before Earth Day and take them down after the 4th of July because those are 2 times when the park is highly utilized. So they'll get maximum viewing. We don't really expect some of the materials to hold their color a lot longer than that. So we'll be maintaining them, but I think probably by July they'll be ready.
So then you could do this concept again and always have some other artists.
Sure.
That's a good idea. Does anybody have any?
Is there any programming kind of created around stuff?
Well, the Rotary is the one who organized the programming around the peace polls. They did some educational things and some fielded things in conjunction with the library. And so when I told them that we were applying for this, they said, well, we're going to hop on some programming for kids and for families. And they don't have it planned yet. I mean, we're sort of waiting for approval before we go any farther with that, but yeah.
And we always like to ask how the artists will be recognized.
You know, that's a really good point. When we did the peace polls, it was the Rotary's Peace Garden because they had already begun it. And we are creating a sign to acknowledge that the Guild did create the peace polls and did add to the garden. So I think we would make one of our projects from our membership to be a little recognition of the Guild's role in making the critters.
And the artists' names, the individual artist names.
There'll be a long list.
yes.
Well,
So
We can do
our,
that.
our
yeah,
peace
Maybe on
polls
the
are
website.
yeah,
are
or
all
on your website.
signed, and then we may do the same thing with the members that create each critter. And then we will have a sign, all artwork created by Clintonville Arts Guild, that in the Peace Garden.
And then
But we
for
could
more
do-
information.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we'll put our
great.
website logo and how to reach us if they'd like.
Good.
Yeah, we actually have signups for certain critters already, and we could easily by each critter list the artists on that team.
Oh, if you could do that easily, that's great.
Great.
If not, you can catalog them on your website, have
True.
to go with the artist, so.
True. Good point.
Really wasted, so that's that. Any other questions?
Yeah, do we know what indigenous land that the Rotary sits on or that this demonstration, because you're using peace pole and, you know, from recognition from the indigenous tribes of Ohio, are we aware of what tribe was on the land prior to?
I am not, but we could certainly find that out. It's also very possible that the Rotary has already done that research and could provide that.
That'd be great, just because, again, to tie it in together and so that you make an acknowledgement.
Good, as you said, it's good. Any other thoughts, questions?
This is a great project.
It is, it's very exciting.
Yeah.
All right, if we are ready, can I request a motion to approve? Motion to approve. A second? A second. Nice. Or do we all say, I'm sorry.
All those in favor say
All
aye.
those in favor say aye.
Right?
Thank you. The details though.
You're great.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Will you say that louder?
I'm just curious, will we see them again? Will they show us what it's like and stuff?
No, but we could always share that information with the commission if they'd like, right? So it was just approved. I will issue the COA based off their final drawings and everything. So, for the applicant, before you, install them, we'll issue a COA, for the for the art system.
Sorry, COA is,
A certificate of appropriate.
oh, okay.
With that being said, next on the agenda is an additional case, but we do have with us, today, Jamie Goldstein from, GCAC, and, she wanted to do a presentation. Do you mind if she has somewhere to be later on, so do you mind if she were to skip ahead on?
Go for it. Yeah.
Okay, great.
And if we could, Madam Chair, would you mind entertaining a motion just
taking it.
to
I'm taking
the agenda?
Oh,
So that she
okay.
can go.
Can we amend the agenda to move Jamie up?
So,
Second.
Thank you. Motion passed to amend the agenda.
Well,
if we could have just a
We had a.
voice vote on that, so.
yeah.
Oh, sorry. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Sorry about that.
Thank you so much. It's nice to see all of you. Some of you have, seen some of this information and had it presented to you. Some of you have not, but I'm gonna go really quickly, through while Lewis pulls
Yes.
the presentation up. We recently released the second of 3 deliverables in our work on the comprehensive public art plan for Columbus and Franklin County. Last fall, we released the environmental scan, which looked at 23 cities, did a deep dive into 10, looking at best practices, worst practices, things that we could emulate, and really starting to try and gather ideas for funding structures, for all the things that we sort of need to take a look at and put in place for Columbus as we move towards having, for the first time ever in Columbus and Franklin County, a public art plan. This is just really high level and I put in front of you the executive summary portion of the State of Public Art Report. So that is the second of 2 deliverables. State of Public Art Report. This is a deep dive into Columbus, what's happening here. And some of this, when you read the 196-page report, if you read the 196-page report, there may be pieces that sound critical of where we are right now, and it is not meant to be critical of any of the current staff or anything, or certainly any of you. This is the legacy that we're all living, right? And we're all trying to find the best way forward. So just as a reminder, the timeline, the timeline is not showing up very well, but essentially.
There you go.
Oh, there we go, thanks. We're in the middle of the red portion right now. So we have released the State of Public Art Report, and we're moving towards the development of the cohesive plan. And I'll get to this in just a moment. We're also moving towards launch activities. I think everybody knows, I'm sorry, Jonna Twig, who is one half of our stellar public engagement team. And we could not have gotten to this point without her and Marshall Short's work in engaging the community and finding out all the good things that people think about public art in Columbus. So really quickly, high level, the State of Public Art took 6 months of public engagement, over 1,800 surveys, multiple stakeholder meetings, roundtables, town halls, so many individual and one-on-one meetings, wonderful focused artist roundtables, educators roundtables, to really gather all the information that you're going to see in the report. This is the culmination of that research and really is providing the background for our future work and moving forward. This is just a quick summary. Over 1,800 surveys, 54 stakeholder interviews, more than 2,000 people. We've presented to nearly all of the area commissions, thanks to Lewis and his staff and Stanley at the city. We really focused on trying to be as diverse as our community is diverse in our responses. We had the survey available in 8 languages. And I think we did a pretty good job at, I'm gonna quite hit the numbers in ethnicity and race. And it's absolutely true that women take more surveys than men, because we had 62% female and 31% male folks, but and the vast majority of these people were between 18 and 44. We really focused also on the geographic distribution and trying to make sure that we heard from every part of Columbus, or as many parts of Columbus as possible. The bulk, a good portion of the respondents came from the central core of the city. But we basically have representation and answers and survey respondents from every single zip code in Columbus. 87% of people feel that public art is extremely or very important. 95% more funding is needed to improve public art. 56 have frequent encounters with public art in their daily lives. Now, caveat, these numbers were gathered not in relation to importance of funding of other things in the city's agenda, right? But even given that, Lord was really astounded, based on the work they do in other cities, that this percentage, this 95%, was so high. The fact that so many people say that they want more public art, that public art is really important for our community was very impressive for them. And that we should invest more. So here we go. We're moving that direction. 4 big insights. The public art plan needs to prioritize and uplift Columbus-based artists. We heard that again and again and again. The current process is not working for everyone. It's confusing, convoluted, and it's unclear about where people need to go for what and what needs permission and what doesn't. We need a vision. So we're working towards a vision, and we need to be representative of our community now and into the future. GCAC in 2019 released an inventory of public art in the central Ohio area. There's more than 1,300 documented pieces that we are aware of. The city's portion is just a small component of that. 8% belongs to the city of Columbus, and less than 2% is documented as directly commissioned by the city of Columbus. Lewis has done some amazing work in the past year in trying to figure out what exactly was commissioned, what was gifted, where all of that stuff stands. And I know it's been a huge investigative trial for him. There was a long time before records were really kept well. So as far as we know, about 2% was directly commissioned by the city of Columbus, and we're going to do a better job of tracking that going forward. Public art inventory and distribution. So you can see here, the map on the right is our opportunity zones as identified by the city. The map on the left is the city of Columbus with municipalities in gray and the current distribution of public art in red, which is also overlaid on the map on the right. We have a lot of work to do to get public art in neighborhoods where we want to develop people's sense of place, lift them up, and bring opportunities to these neighborhoods. So these are going to be our priorities going forward. Funding. It's one of the biggest things that we're trying to tackle through this plan, identifying a sustainable funding source for public art in Columbus, and substantial. I like to say sustainable and substantial. It's fragmented currently. We really need a connective force to align the funding and to help manage it. Ideally, a network that combines both public and private funds, and that includes funding for commissioning, care, maintenance, and all the things that Lewis and his staff, particularly for the city pieces, have to manage. There's multiple funding sources currently. You've got single source funding, tax funding, other municipal funding, coalition funding, innovative funding structures. There's no reason we can't use all of these going forward. But we need sort of an overarching vision so that we can figure out where the best place is to use the best funding source. And ideal if we had a big pot that helped support all of those, that would be even better. We have 7 emerging insights out of the report. These are gone into in much greater detail in the full document. Peer cities with the strongest public art program, the highest volume and highest volume in quality and broadest geographic dispersion utilize a percent for our program. We do not currently have percent for our program in Columbus. Ideally, that could be a public and private percent for our program. And those are particularly successful. Toronto as one of those. Over the last decades, there have been many impressive new public art projects, and people and this has helped people recognize that public art is a tremendous asset to our built environment and to our quality of life here in Columbus. Unfortunately, most folks don't see themselves reflected in the current public art that exists and in the ecosystem. As I mentioned, the process is confusing for pretty much everyone. Funding for public art from both private and public sources is inconsistent, uneven, talked about that. We have lots of smaller municipalities within the region who are doing good work. Certainly Dublin, Bexley is going to do a mural festival this fall. Whitehall, there are all these efforts happening. We hope to not supersede or overwrite what they're doing. A couple have a master plan already. We really want to develop a resource toolkit and develop a way to share best practices and things that can help these municipalities move their own public art programs forward. And there's a really strong desire for sort of a new Columbus way. I know some people are tired of that term, but that reflects the very vibrant and diverse community, our community in the future of public art. So I'm not going to generate a big conversation here, but I did want to throw these up there for your consideration. We talked about some of these in our steering committee meeting a week or so ago. Do these findings reflect upon, when you read the report or the executive summary, do these findings reflect your experience? Which of them do you find most significant? Is there low-hanging fruit that can be easily addressed? We're working really hard on figuring out, and Lewis has already tackled a whole bunch of that low-hanging fruit to try and make the process as we move forward towards the plan easier and not waiting to hold everything. Who needs to hear this information as we build toward the plan release in June and a launch activity? So how do we go from the state of public art to drafting the final plan and the launch? Really quick timeline. We have a whole bunch of meetings planned for mid-March. We have another steering committee meeting. We're going to bring together a group of funders. We're going to bring together another group of public officials. We're going to bring together a big group of artists. And we're going to sort of test ideas and try and prioritize the top things that we want to get done and when we want to get them done. We've already started thinking about what the launch looks like. So a plan itself is not really that sexy. So how do you bring the plan to the community and really help them feel it? And so of course that it also doesn't sit on the shelf. So we're trying to figure out a way to not just in that moment when we release the plan, but maybe throughout the whole following year, from June to 24 to June to 25, using the Arts Festival as a bookend. How do we really help infuse public art, people dream and vision public art in their neighborhoods. And then May we'll have a draft, June we'll have the final plan and launch. These are just our very beginnings thinking about the launch. We sort of were pushing forward and we pulled back a little bit on hearing some input from the community but we are sort of thinking that this shouldn't be just a moment in time. This should be an extended, is it a year-long, 6 months, whatever, series of public art installations and events with us serving as sort of this umbrella of gathering things that people are already working on, plans that are already in place, and then how can we supplement that to really bring this into new neighborhoods. Making sure that we involve Central Ohio artists in the planning and in the implementation. Considering projection mapping and digital presentation, because that is a cost-effective way to bring public art to new neighborhoods without sort of cementing it in place. They get to experience it and understand it. Maybe a very distributed approach. This plan is not going to be about just putting more public art downtown. We really need to diversify the geographic distribution of public art in Columbus. And how do we center community voices? Who should really be at the table to help us plan for the launch? It's really our opportunity to manifest what we want to see for the future in the community and begin to have that conversation in depth as people can, and so people can see what we mean by a plan and really bring it to the streets and bring it to the neighborhoods. Really quickly, why include digital works and projection mapping? This is, it allows, if anyone is familiar with Blink, what kind of impact that has on the Cincinnati community. It can build on the history of mural art, but it also can incorporate poetry and performance art. And it can help highlight future sites, let people experience it without really going all in and painting something or putting up a sculpture. We have lots of opportunity for partnerships. It's a built-in communication tool. You can alternate didactic information about what we're trying to do here. So it's not just an image. People are like, why is that there? And then it has a really broad reach, particularly when we think about partners across the Central Ohio community. We have digital partners like Orange Barrel Media and other folks like Lamar who can help us bring this to the screens across the area. We have great lighting folks here in town like Obelisk and Pacemore and others. We have our bus system. We have malls and shopping centers that use digital screens. We have lots of ways to help bring this message to the community if we talk about adding digital into this. And it is very much the new the technology is being thought of as public art, just like temporal and performance-based things are being thought of as public art because they're free and people get to experience them in group settings. We like to think of the Arts Festival as public art. So this is a launch plan where we are now, January through March, presenting this around, having lots of meetings, gathering a curatorial committee to help advise us on launch activities, engaging partners and sponsors. We have hopefully going to post a program manager position for this within the next few weeks. And then we really want to do the first event in conjunction with the Arts Festival, and we have a plan to do that. We've got a couple things planned within the Arts Festival footprint that can be pointed to as part of this launch. I already know of several other communities who have things planned this summer, trying to create that umbrella and bring everybody into the fold and lift all voices in this. And that's all I have. Do you have anything you would like to add?
No, I guess maybe thinking about that year of public art, I think one of the things that I'm excited about is to continue being responsive once we already have this plan, right? And taking the time to see how the document lives in our community, how people are able to navigate, and then also continuing education. That was the thing that I teased out of all the public engagement that I really participated in, was a need for even a thirst for education, right? Not me seeing it, people requesting it, be it the artist, be it the business owner, the property owner, the developer, the, cultural leader. Everyone wants to feel educated, not only on the system, but on like where public art is today, what it could be, how we want to do it, how we're going to distinguish ourselves. So I'm excited, and I'm excited for that protracted window to introduce this plan to the city.
What Jonna has sitting in front of her is a really great summary out of the plan out of Toronto, which they tried to launch in 2020 and then the pandemic hit, but they did a year of public art. And this document took their plan essentially and in a very brief space of time outlined, here's how we're going to bring it to the community. Here are the deliverables that we're going to show you. Here's the ways that public art is going to be infused in the community. And I think in addition to the plan that talks about policy and funding and all of the sort of non-sexy things, we can do something like this that gets people excited about what they're going to see in the future of public art in Columbus.
I have a question. In that year, in those zones that are in need of public art, do you think the digital art might be a way to introduce the concept, the plan, and do some sort of placemaking with a plan next to put physical art in the space? Oh, because that would be a really great way to introduce that. Get that engagement.
Well, and one of the very cool things in the mapping of the city that at least I found was, when I thought about when we looked out and projected on what kind of sites and what neighborhoods are available, I was impressed by the way that our team was really able to think expansively about that. So I was thinking just the built environment and established screens or advertising places that we could then kind of utilize, but it kind of went deeper. It was the screen at the bank. It was the screen that greets children at school. There is a lot of digital infrastructure that I wasn't even, kind of cognizant of, that I think starts to kind of allow these messages and this idea to permeate places that might not already be as built up and readily available for public art. So yeah, and I think having a temporary footprint also It's important and it's part of, I think the national conversation as
Yeah.
well.
And it's an invitation to the conversation as opposed to the conversation is done. Here's the art, right?
Yeah, my thought was the digital's there and it's all awesome, and then it goes away and we're back to the regular old place that still needs public art. It was that little.
I mean, really what we'd love to do is use the, whether it's a digital space or projection-based image to have that conversation within the neighborhood and find out what it is that they want.
Yeah.
I mean, this isn't about us saying, okay, here's smart. Absolutely not. That's unfortunately been what's done in a lot of places and for a long time. So I think we're excited about that. And what you saw on the maps here is just really the beginning of the map. We also have maps that overlay the river structure and rec and parks and coda lines. And so how can we really take all of these maps with all of our resources and assets in the community and start to plan with those things in mind?
Exciting.
So this may be thinking way too far down the line, but I'm so excited that percent for art, those aren't dirty words. And I was really excited because I did read the plan, a good majority of it, that those cities that had successful plans have percent for art or some.
I like the public-private too.
Yeah, I love the public-private as well, so I am really thrilled about that. Public art is so much bigger than the city, the commission that we sit on. And I'm anxious to see what role we will play. And I'm also really excited that we will only be one part of this bigger picture. That really excites me.
Yeah.
I also was thinking, and I know this is too soon, but Lewis and company are doing a great job keeping us afloat. But it seems like we really need full-time staff if we are going to have a vibrant, robust program. And I don't know when and where that will come out of, if it will come out of the plan.
The cities with the strongest programs do have dedicated staff.
Yes, I don't know how else we.
There's multiple different structures, whether it's simply a municipal structure or a public-private partnership or whatever, but, we have a way in Columbus of doing things our own way.
Right.
So I hope that I'm hopeful that we will craft something that really works for this community, and for those everyone who wants to support public art.
Having come from the state of Ohio, and so did Jamie, there are dedicated staff for the percent for our program, and I don't know how we move forward with it. But anyway, I just
Thrilled.
So did everybody get the email from Tom Katzenmeyer with the plan? Yeah, okay, cool.
There's some assumption of intentionality inside of it that we probably need to hold feet to the fire. And that's one of them, is making sure that this is staffed appropriately, because we've all been in situations where we're the only one carrying this torch and our arm is tired. And so I want to make sure that if nothing more, that'll be something that I will really kind of push to make sure that we have on a long-term basis, have someone there that can speak to and can assist with the work that has already been put in.
I would say too, just being prepared, because now we're saying a lot that we're about to do. We need to we need to expect this revolving door that needs to now be available to artists, and be thinking about like how accessible, what does accessibility to you look like from an artist's perspective? Like I've been thinking about, do they need to create like a jetpack or something that's like, every artist can request, that creates an open door to now communication with you about this new beginning that we're having, because what I fear is we've done all this work and a new beginning will happen and artists will still be saying the same things.
I agree.
And it's like, well, how do you prevent that? And just starting to think about like that staffing thing, like that revolve, how do we become accessible at that point when we start this new beginning?
I love the kit with a checklist on. All of that. I love
Yeah,
that.
and how do we make all those resources that we know that we have and that we can pull together accessible for artists? That's the big part of the education thing, but an online resource toolkit is certainly one way, but that's why we have wonderful people on our steering committee, so that you can keep giving us these great ideas and also help us hold our feet to the fire, so.
And artists will still complain, but that's okay.
Yes,
That's, I want to do that.
Not yet, but soon. TakePartColumbus.com and you can access it. And you can access the report.
Well, at least the site is up, but this extra piece we're talking about, you know, we have to make it go.
Yeah, I know I'm gonna need a place to send people,
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, we're already talking with Lauren about that, and I don't know that the Take Part site is going to remain that site, but, GCAC has maybe a little more flexibility than the city to build something that is that go-to landing page and place where folks can both access city resources and processes if they need to.
GCAC wants to leave on a page between all these resources to.
I'm envisioning like a logic model. What do you want to do? And then like that takes
That's
you
true. That's
to
even better.
like the pieces that you need.
That's cool.
So it looks like it's very busy, you know, in the next few months.
Yes.
You have so many new things.
Understatement.
Yeah. So are we going to see you guys back, before the launch?
We can certainly talk about that. I would say, I'd be happy to come back before the launch when we have a draft plan.
That'd be good.
Maybe in May.
Sweet.
We can talk about where we are and, we might still be making tweaks, but happy to come back.
Great.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Bye, guys.
See you later. All right. All right, so we have another application,
Yes.
the next one in line.
So now this is a conceptual application. It's by the city of Columbus. This is actually my application.
No.
I've
is
never,
this
no, yeah. Selfie presented. So the idea, I've never presented my own case before, but this is something we put on your radar several months ago now. It is located at 2652 Cleveland Avenue, and it is the Lyndon War Memorial. Right here at the intersection of Westerville and Cleveland Avenue. There is, as far as I can tell, the city's only war memorial in the city of Columbus. And this is what it looked like back in better days, but we can go through and show what's happened to it. Okay, so, there we go. So, it's located on a small green space owned by the city at 2652 Cleveland Avenue. It actually, we didn't have much information on this piece. I can hand out some handouts as well. We didn't have much information on this piece. Very little history. And one of our historic preservationists actually was able to find the original news article from 1919, when what was called Linden Heights at the time installed a war memorial for $2,200 by a local monument dealer. And it was to honor those who served and those who passed away in World War I. So it's much older than we thought it was. This memorial was placed in a location that at the time was called the Community Square. So you can imagine 1919, there's fewer cars, much less traffic. This area had a whole different purpose. It was the community square. Right now, if you've been there, if you've hung out there much, it's very unpleasant, a lot of traffic, and dangerous, as you can see.
They carved the space out all around it, so.
Yeah, that's why we're here. So, over the years, it was expanded, and it now honors those who served in World War I, World War II, the Korean War, and the Vietnam War. But it has not been expanded since the Vietnam War. I have reached out to multiple individuals since taking on this project. This came under our radar as part of the work we're doing to try and figure out what's in our collection, and as part of our maintenance program as well. So I created a group with Richard Curry. He's the VFW Department of Ohio Quartermaster. We've also reached out to the Veterans of Foreign War Museum. And we have reached out to AMVETS in the area the American Legion posts in the area and the VFW posts. There's no longer a VFW or an AMVETS in Linden. Those locations have dissolved or moved on. They've disbanded or moved on. But we are trying to get a good feedback from the veteran groups in the area, because this was initially a memorial that was for a veterans group that was just north of the memorial. And in fact, every Veterans Day, there was a parade in Linden that would go from the Veterans Memorial, or the VFW, I apologize, all the way down, and it would end up at this memorial. There they would have their events and so forth. So we're getting input from them. Is there a question? Okay, and the issues with this memorial is, of course, it sat there for almost 100 years, and now no one can drive anymore, and it's gotten hit by a car, got hit by a car in 2019, and it was repaired. So I have pictures here of the actual, here it is. So it was hit in 2019. This was the damage in 2019. Rec and Parks paid for it to be repaired. And then it was hit again in 2021, much more forcefully, and it obliterated the whole left-hand side of the memorial. And since that time, this is the condition that it has been sitting in. So what we're trying to do is, our goal is to repair the monument and move it and its associated flagpole to a more secure and publicly accessible location at Linden Park. And we are exploring the possibility of adding additional nameplates to the memorial as well. So as you see, we've talked for Rec and Parks, AMVETS, the VFW, the Quartermaster, National Vets Memorial, the Columbus Veterans Affairs Coordinator, the Linden Health and Safety Committee, and we've also gone and I've spoken to the Linden Area Commission, as well as we were able to find the descendants of the sculptor, who now reside in Toledo, Ohio. And we informed them of this, and they would like to be at any kind of potential rededication ceremony as well. So this is the whole idea. We're coming to you conceptually for this idea. Our analysis, based off of code section, that we want to preserve the property core of the city, maintenance of proper aesthetic values, maintenance of an orderly balance in the location and design of work and art. And so in summary, we feel that the proposal meets the guidelines, but this is only here for conceptual review and information to get your feedback at this point in time. Based off of all the feedback we've had, Richard Query for the state of Ohio, he says that the location isn't ideal for memorial events. It's pretty loud, it's unpleasant, and it's unsafe atmosphere. And ideally for these monuments, you want them in a more peaceful location where you can have ceremonies and things of that nature. I did get feedback from AMVETS, the AMVETS group in the area. It's north, they moved from Linden to Northland, but they said that they support it and that they would like to provide their honored walk guard at any kind of rededication ceremonies. And so the main idea of the plan is to put it in a location that will be accessible for the veterans groups and to hold events and ceremonies near it. We do have a timeline. We have progress today as well. We have our stakeholder and advisory group that we're talking to. We've reached out to the Linden Health and Safety Committee, the North Linden Area Commission. All these groups were supportive of the move, the potential move and the restoration. And that's basically it. The Rec and Parks, it did go to Rec and Parks, Parks Naming, Signage and Art Committee. They have a committee that reviews any potential art, and they gave these as the premier locations that it could go in Linden Park. Linden, location B was everyone's favorite, but there's a water line there right now. So it looks like location E is the best location, avoiding being hit by any more vehicular traffic, and it provides a large amount of space in the area. Here's a picture we found of it in 1952. Again, in 1956, here's the article talking about when it was originally dedicated. You can see that the eagle at the top has changed. That's not the original eagle. The original eagle is from a John Sluhar. I was able to locate him. He's passed away, but he was out of Smoke Creek, Pennsylvania. And I spoke to his descendants as well about the eagle. Originally, we thought maybe he was the one made, but it was made by someone in Sherman Village.
Louis, can I go back and ask you a question
Sure.
about the potential locations?
Sure.
Is that green line near E, is that a road?
So the road is down here. It's down here. This is the property line is green
Okay.
line. E,
I got very nervous.
I know.
yeah, no,
Right on the perimeter.
it wouldn't be that close. We'd want to probably put it a little farther north up and through here.
Oh, yeah.
You have to have more. The main thing being though is these are by intersections. Here it's more of like on the road. It's not at a V or at an intersection, so for a car to, I mean,
Would it angle
anything's possible.
in, it
but-
would angle into the walkway though?
We haven't discussed any kind of, this is all conceptual at this point. When I have a more designed site plan, I'll bring it to the commission as well.
Great.
An interesting thing is that the Linden Health and Safety Committee, I had heard a couple months ago, someone from this commission, someone let me know that at a public event, there were people getting signatures for the Linden War Memorial. And I was that you? Yeah, okay, and I was like, who is this group? And I reached out to the neighborhood liaison and they were like, well, the Linden Health and Safety Committee have been maintaining the sculpture as it is. And they were making plans, they were trying to raise money, they were making plans to rebuild it. They didn't realize that the section that was hit by a car, we have that in storage.
Oh my goodness.
I believe I have the pictures here. If I don't, I apologize.
Right?
They do.
That's so great.
Yeah, we have the pieces in storage, so it can be rebuilt. This is there. But it can be put back together. We have the nameplates, the plaques with all the names on them still. So that would be the idea, is we would restore it. So I went and I spoke to them. And I told them that we were planning on rebuilding it, that we were going to move it to a safer location. And that we had the funding for it. So they were very happy to hear all of this. Oh, we're still gonna work with them because they still want to be involved in the project. And we want to honor all the work that they've put towards trying to work on this project up to this point. And so they're happy with the idea of moving it as well.
Yeah.
So they were also looking into the prospect of adding additional names, which is something that we were also, so this was just perfect. So that's an idea that we're working on now. I'm trying to figure out who has passed away in the community since the Vietnam War. And the idea is that we would be able to honor those individuals who have passed away or served, invite their families to any kind of rededication and give them the memorial, and those who have served kind of like the honor and the respect that they deserve.
Is there a shelter? I'm so sorry.
You can go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, I need to check the park out. Is there a shelter, or some kind of, covered space? Is that it?
I
Okay,
believe that is the shelter.
okay, terrific.
Okay, I have a couple things. Sure. If you don't mind. Since we're on this slide, what I would say to the relocation is being thoughtful about the creative space placement. Like, if we end up putting the memorial there, it should add to the value of the park. So there should be like some kind of remembrance area. We can't just move the art without adding a piece of history to it. Like, why, like, if we're gonna move it and we're gonna redo this thing as a different, we have to add to the installation so that people understand there was a story. And so when you're doing that, we can be very thoughtful about the station in which this thing is being put, and, you know, whether that's like it's bricked out and the brick, there's now an opportunity on the bricks to honor all these groups that have such a vested interest, and then being able to tell a story of what this pays homage to. I think maybe like hiring a consultant or someone to really be thoughtful about this moving of this piece, because the piece that I can't let go of is, this used to be Linden Town Hall Square, so there needs to be a historical marker there. And
In the space.
in the space, so if we're moving the statue, a historical marker goes there. And you need, Ohio history needs to be involved in that. That's a ceremony in and of itself. And then there's the separate, now moving the piece and taking it to the park piece. That's its own, I think, thoughtful kind of piece. What's exciting is that this is a part of that small 2%, right? So we can be very thoughtful about this as a commission on like how we're doing this and what we're doing. And I think like even when we put that historical marker there, we know now this is a danger zone kind of vehicle traffic area. So even as we put that historical marker there, maybe being thoughtful about the landscape around it and paying homage to what that was. If this was the old Linden Heights Square, that is actually the history we're looking for when we start telling these neighborhood stories. So
We should put geocache coordinates on it too, so you can find.
yeah, something, to connect it to the old story.
My mind went directly to what we're replacing, what we're putting there, since we're taking part away, we get the marker, but I.
But that's what I mean about the intention, like.
Yeah,
how
I
you
know
can
there's
put
artwork there.
Well, I was thinking more about like
Idea, they won't get hit.
the marker with
Yeah.
like landscape.
Yeah, and that's perfectly fine, but now I have a school that's sitting just east of it. This thing is gone.
Mhm. What if it's,
Why-
what if it's
yeah, but-
that spell Linden with the historical marker stamped in the middle?
It could be
You know,
anything, but it just should be something, like, because we're taking art from a place
Yeah,
and we're replacing it with a marker, which is not art.
well, here's the thing, what you can't do
It
is,
doesn't have to be just the.
you can't move it and not put a marker there. So this is new for us. I have so many thoughts just as a historian, like, you have to.
Sounds like, so Louis, are you the only one, and, your team doing the public engagement part, or you have more support? It sounds like it is it's a bigger scope project.
Right, it sounds like you got more support through the Sandbats group.
Right, so we're doing all the community outreach and engagement.
So your team is there.
Yeah.
So it's not like an outside consultant, able
No.
to help you, because I feel like this kind of conversation and, the story that, is supposed, to go with the removal or the relocation of the art, it needs to be kind of like documented in a more professional way.
Exactly.
And if it can.
We're all in agreement there, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just, safety.
Yeah,
Exactly.
move it for safety, but mark the original location
Yeah.
and connect it to where it's moved to.
Exactly,
Yeah.
yeah. And then it's
And
like.
whatever's put there, it has to be safe.
Yeah, right now the city will own property, what they're gonna do, is mow the grass there and call it a day, because the reality is there's still
It's still
the
dangerous.
crime at the, well, beyond the traffic, the crime at the gas station, I live in Linden. The crime at the gas station, the prostitution and all the other pieces that are there, so if anything, art does something to community, and we all know that.
Yeah.
What are we doing to affect the community once we remove this beautiful piece of artwork? Which is my point, I know it's not just gonna be a sign, but I mean, like, what I mean,
But I
there
think
has to be
we're
something.
Toby's going with it to make a ceremony and a special event to connect who's
Mhm.
living there to the sculpture as it moves to another place for safety.
Yeah, because I know South Linderners don't go to Linden Park. We don't travel that far. If you're on 17th, between 17th and 25th, you don't go to this park. You may go to the gas station, but you don't go to this park. So how do we make that connection? How do we bring that in? Because I love the idea of it being
But the
big.
marker could speak to the future and the generations.
We also assume because,
Established.
but the new data is that there's a high illiteracy rate in the Linden community. So now I'm expecting folk who don't read at a third grade level to go to a marker, access a smartphone to do a QR code, or actually read the information and be able to access where this is. Like, all of those things have got to be critical, which is why I'm like, I would prefer if we could consider replacing art for art. Like, because now I can see a statue, now I can see now I can see a monument of some sort and allow that to be what is a part of my art community, because there are many people who don't have the reflective lens that we do living in that neighborhood.
Their reality is a lot more urgent.
Well, so let me ask you, the reason for moving the monument is because it's been hit by cars multiple times, so that's the concern with, if we were to put art back in that location, we'd have the same issue with art getting hit by vehicular traffic.
Exactly. And so what I hope we don't miss is that this was Linden Heights squares, right? So this was the middle of town. This was, we're talking what, early 1800s to the early 1900s, like, so I think that there's a opportunity here to move the memorial piece to the park in a safer place and even reimagine that where we're bringing beauty to the park. And then when it comes to that little piece right there, I say creative space placement because I think it's not said enough. There's a way we can look at public spaces, whether that be brick, gardens, trees, and make it art too.
I agree. So if somebody, I was just thinking, can it be something inlaid into the earth? So if a car does go on top of it, it's okay.
Yeah.
And people can still, walk over it, enjoy it.
Could it be art that's in the, yeah.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, things like that. So it's clear that if this is something we're gonna do, we've gotta put a professional some kind of consulting or somebody to have a thoughtful approach in this.
We have a question. Can we
Yeah.
get the question?
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
I don't know if it's a question or just an idea to throw out, because I really love all the concepts and ideas, and I do work in Lincoln. So I know exactly the location you're talking about, and I drive that area a lot. It would be really awesome, and I don't know how to do it, but if you had a hologram that reflected that in that space, so you don't have to, even if a car drove through it, it's not.
Yeah, it's not damaging.
But there's several buildings or maybe there's another public thing where you could reflect an image there and it'd be kind of a really different idea.
Love that.
Again, I'm just trying to do it.
Too.
And then it would give just another visual, and there is a lot of people traffic in that area, but it would give them pause.
Yeah,
It's a reflection.
Reflections,
it is. I love that. Because now you can put local businesses involved, you get schools involved, because all that area is there. Again, how? Because art does change community, and I want to make sure that we are doing things that are going to affect the community and not just take away.
And Linda's developing quite a bit right now. So I think that would be a welcome idea, with what you guys are creating with that.
Sounds like we're onto a really good, real solution.
Could be
compared
changing.
to the past. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Could be changing imagery. It doesn't have to be static.
Yeah. On the Memorial Day, if it's digital, you could roll a list of names. You can always add names as it goes, so I love that. Yeah,
All those days.
all the day.
No.
Yes.
Just to piggyback off that idea, because I was having similar thoughts. There was a case study that came out when we were doing our research too, that says there are ways, not only can, we avoid something being damaged, but using public art to actually promote safety,
Yes.
right? So if this is the intersection that we know is dangerous,
Really tie in why the statue was moved.
right?
Yeah.
So just as like a framework,
Yep.
thinking about what you do to be proactive about safety.
Louis, do you love it? Do you have any questions?
Sounds like
for
yes.
us?
I loved everything. It sounds great.
Sorry.
I mean, I have to be the boring bureaucrat a little bit, and, we do kind of have a budget that we're looking at. I mean,
But the dance around in my head.
So-
We can Jamie here.
yes, it's not.
Scope.
See?
Louis has been asked to do, but I think these are great ideas to put into the public art plan, right? If there is going to be a sustained capital thing, let's make a list of where are all the places that are opportunity sites that we see these could be the places where we want to invest first. And what are the criteria for identifying the opportunity sites? So there's lots of public art, it's a public art desert. Like, how do we start making our wish list of the places we want to hit first? And are projects like these kind of criteria that inform that list?
Yes, I agree with all of that.
And how
I guess-
help Louis kind of like button.
Yes,
good
I guess
character
at this
for-
point, I would like to not see the sculpture move before we address what's left there after it's moved.
Okay, I mean, we can definitely look into that. I guess our concern at this point is the safety of the remainder of the monument and the pieces that are in storage right now. I don't know how much we want to get into it, but the funding for this memorial would come out of what we asked for in 2024.
Thank you. Take care.
What we asked for in 2024 to be allocated to public art maintenance. So we kind of deferred some public art maintenance that we felt could be deferred in order to move the monument in 2024. We're still gonna maintain the pieces that, and we'll inform you of what we're thinking about maintaining in 2024, but the idea would be to shuffle some of that around.
Do you think there's some digital campaign you can add to that so we inform the public before it's moved? And do some sort of digital recognition in the week that it's moved, so we just connect people to.
Oh, yeah, I mean, so yeah, the idea would be to promote it all on social media so people understand why it's being moved. That's why we've gone
Touching on
to,
what Shelby's.
right, to disseminate to the community. We don't want the community suddenly to wake up one morning and it's gone. and people let it this way.
Yeah.
That's the last thing we want. We want to have support from the community. We're gonna go to North Linden 2 more times. I'm gonna be going to the Linden Health and Safety Committee ongoing to talk to them about this. We're gonna promote it on social media. We're gonna reach out to the community to see if there's anybody in the community who would like their loved ones added to the memorial. So I guess part of it is, as Jennifer was saying, one thing is the memorial, protecting the memorial, moving the memorial before it's further damaged, kind of that process, trying to beautify where it goes. And I like the idea that we do with what's left over at the point, that kind of complicates and the thing. There are some things we can do, some things we might not be able to do. It's all, I really appreciate the feedback. It gives me a lot to think about. But we also have to kind of keep the scope of the sculpture and moving it as one part perhaps. And then what goes there, a second part, if that makes sense.
Might there be any Linden groups that could champion the ceremony around the original location?
Yeah, somebody's gonna have to apply for the historical marker.
Yeah. Right.
Maybe that's a separate project. I do hear that that's a separate project. And to your point, I love that list for future, but this seems more immediate.
Yeah,
So it's its own thing.
so, the first thing I did is I looked out to see if there was any like Friends of Linden Park or anything like that. I didn't really find any groups of that. In the packet, you'll see there is a plaque that's at the location as well. It's for Mr. Linden. I'm not sure if anybody is familiar with this individual. Dr. Ira Hedrick, he has a plaque there. I did a lot of research.
Dentist or something.
Yeah, that's right. I did a lot of research into it. I found out all these articles. He was a dentist. He ran for office and whatnot, so we know who he is. Yeah, his shop was on the,
It's not in here.
they demolished, yeah, it's gone there. This was his shop.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was his house. This is where he's buried at Maplewood Cemetery. So I did some research into this. His wife was on with those.
Is Maplewood Cemetery close to this?
No, not really. But so I was trying to find if there's any relatives of his to see
Do you
if.
think,
if they-
do you think the Emmets or VFW group might?
He's not
be up
related.
for- No, I'm sorry, I'll be up for applying to do that second piece. No,
I could ask. They have very little involvement with this memorial at this point in time. When I called, most people, they didn't know it was there, to be honest.
Spoken.
I like the idea of us thinking about that. I think we can talk to our partners at Rec and Parks to see what can we do here as a second phase, as Jennifer said, that keep this in mind as something for like a second phase as part of the public art plan. But keeping that in mind and kind of the limitations and the restrictions, I was kind of hoping to see what your thoughts are, keeping in mind when we move it, some of Shelby's ideas of incorporating how we beautify the space it goes to. Is there any other feedback or?
no, I'm really glad that this is being saved and there's a place established for it to move, but
Absolutely.
it seems well thought out.
Me too.
Loving finding the history and connecting with people that are still living or their families.
Something I bet you would probably go down a rabbit hole is if you now looked up what happened at the Linden Heights, like right there in that corner. So now we know that that was the headquarters in 1800s. So what happened there even before that monument went there? Because I bet you there's probably some depth to that corner that we don't even know that is in Ohio history has it. Like it's somewhere. And I think it's kind of cool that now we can identify, because Linden is it's such a,
Ohio History Center be brought into.
I think Ohio History Center needs to be nudged. This is out of my wheelhouse. I'm not the
To the right
historian.
people.
Yeah, I'm definitely, but I can get this nudge to the right person. And I think adding them to your collective would be smart, yeah.
Excellent, yeah, and I really like the idea of creating some historical,
Yeah.
because when I saw that, I was like, that's fascinating.
It is fascinating.
Yeah, so, okay, so we can explore that avenue.
Okay.
Since it's conceptual, we're not voting on anything, right? Is it-
No, I just wanted to present it to you, get your feedback, take those ideas, and I'll be back one or two more times, probably one more time as we get it more finalized, get your feedback, and then for the official review. It's all in the timeline that I provided.
Thank you.
Okay?
I just want to acknowledge Lewis's tremendous diligence. I mean,
All the time.
All the time.
All the time.
He is not an art historian by training, but I'm ready to give him like an honor.
He's giving me art historian vibes.
Finding the pieces was hard enough.
Yeah. And super sleuth.
But are you having fun?
Oh, I love it.
I've been.
Yeah, it's great. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work, but it's a lot of fun.
That's so good.
I didn't realize that Linden actually crossed over 71.
Yeah, I didn't either.
Yeah, interesting.
Excellent.
Thank you. So we'll move on now. So new business, we did the public art plan update. Old business update on existing projects. The public art maintenance Blind Eye completed their 2023 contract. And some things we asked them to touch up a second time, and they did a great job. They were very responsive to all of our feedback and putting a second coat on the deer. So they did a great job with that. That's been completed, and we're working on a 2024 contract, as I indicated. We're looking at what pieces we specifically want to maintain that we feel definitely need maintenance. Public art appraisal, we are working on still the 2024 appraisal to finish appraisal of the art pieces. And that will give us a holistic view of what is the valuation of the art collections.
When can we expect those back to be completed?
So the appraisal would probably be done in March. The art archive, we did want to bring up the art archive. Gosh, actually, they gave me a new computer.
You added now.
So what we did do is, I don't know if it's gonna work because, here we go. Becoming a better Google hit. So what we've done is just housekeeping. Sophie is working to put in the monuments, because originally we said the monuments weren't art, they're monuments, but after the input we got from the public art plan, we've changed the name to the Art Monuments and Memorials Collection. So we would consider the Linden War Memorial to be memorial, not so much art. So we're putting some of these back in. Some of them we had left that were more artistic in nature, but so like the Columbus Police Memorial's gone back in, the Police Officers Memorial, we're gonna go on and put the memorials. We also had one of our planners is a photographer, and she saturates them or whatever, makes them pop. So she's gone. Yeah, they're popping a lot. So she's gone through and reshot most of these. And we've put these newer images on there. And so, for example, we had the one that we did not have an updated image on was the Monument to Black History. This one's a fascinating one out on the east side. And just based off these updated images, I went and visited the site. This is something we're gonna want to put on the maintenance.
Yeah.
Additionally, we've been highlighting the pieces on social media as part of Black History Month, Black artists, and the pieces that highlight Black history as well. Any questions on any of that?
On you were scrolling down, did you see the last time we were here, they said they were demoing that mural, so would that mural come off of there?
I've been thinking how we're gonna do that. So for example, this one, the split balance, we have it in black and white because we don't know where it is right now. We might put it in black, we might put a black white, we might put something that was like via session or something, just to keep history.
The first page, so I'm not sure. That,
Oh, yeah,
The one that was here last week, or last week, or last
I
week.
missed last week.
On the racquetball.
Yeah,
Oh, the racquetball court, that's right.
Yeah, so
So when I keep on down.
the Camp Chase is one of them, and the other one
Yeah,
is
Camp, yeah,
Fantastic.
Camp J.
Okay.
And they're gonna demo those. So I was wondering, how do we acknowledge it? Does it still become a part of our archive? Like, how does that work?
I was thinking on
Decommission.
But like a deaccession or whatever you want to call it, so it's in the record, but people know, and we can give the reason why it was deaccession.
Did anybody ever get a hold of Curtis Goldstein?
You'd have to ask Morgan Wade, she was really spearheading
Got
that,
it,
so
okay.
I'm not sure.
That's all right.
Yeah,
No problem.
Have we heard any more about the piece we're supposed to be meeting about, over in Cleburne?
out of the struggles of our past, that's next on the agenda, yeah. That piece, we're gonna put out an RFP to have it moved as well.
Okay.
It just, that one's more complicated, it's not just moving in a foundation. The individuals that will do the Lyndon Moore Memorial, they do monument work, not like, cemeteries, graves, monuments, they have experience with that, they have all the cranes and everything. For the out of the struggles of our past, we are gonna want to put out an RFP, perhaps to get a consultant or someone who could help guide us through the process a bit more. Just due to the size, the scale of that piece and its importance, so. And then that's all I have. Any questions at all?
Oh, great job.
Louis, if I may,
Okay.
I don't recall who all was here to do the oath of office, the swearing in. To Lisa, were you here for that? And Mary? I think
Yes.
you were.
Yes.
I-
Last time we were here.
Oh, last time, no, I wasn't here last.
It was in December.
If you
Yeah.
haven't, I have copies of the oath of office. This is just a real housekeeping matter that
It's really cool.
we are doing for mayoral appointment boards and commissions.
Yeah.
So this could be done after we adjourn the meeting, so everyone else can leave, but for the two members who haven't yet done the formal swearing in, if you would stay behind.
Should somebody take pictures? Or-
I know, I'm like, please, I need to record this.
It says December 20th, 2024 on the minutes, instead of 23. It's just a minor.
Oh, I always forget to put 23 to 24. down.
Somebody. Somebody.
Adjourn and then we, okay, got it. Excellent.
And then, so the last thing of housekeeping is, so Sophie is gonna be taking over the art commission. She will be, staff for the art commission. I am going to be still handling like the larger scope things, like the Lyndon Moore Memorial, the out of the struggles of our past, the maintenance, the legislation, all those other things, bigger things that we're working on, I'll do that. Sophie will be in charge of, doing the cases, the agendas, the staff. I'll still be involved to a degree. But she will be doing the staff reports and running the commission meetings. We'll basically be switching chairs.
Yeah.
I'll be sitting where she is, always sitting here, so.
Awesome.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure,
Yes,
setting
thank
the
you.
commission. So with that, I think we can adjourn the meeting unless you have any questions.
Anybody have any questions?
No.
If not, may I have a motion to approve to end the meeting?
So, yeah.
Second.
There we go.
Quick second from Sophie. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
All right.